What is going on, guys? Dork Gaming here, and welcome to Sortie Boss, the series where I try to showcase to you guys how to solo every boss in the game when it pops up as a sortie. The builds that you'll be seeing in the background are the builds for the weapons that I'll be using in the gameplay, and in the case that weapons of mine have rivens, I also showcase to you mods to use other than the riven. In the case of my ogres, however, I also showcase to you mods that you should probably use on top of the mods that I had already. I was lacking in the necessary forma department during the recording of this clip, so I didn't have enough to add on. In the case of my vehicle Mirlock also, I did a little bit of a derp and showcased heated charge. Primed heated charge is in the build, so you can't use heated charge, but you can still use convulsion and pathogen rounds. In terms of focus schools, I'll say this now and probably in the later installments of this series, I always use Zenrik. It's just very good. It allows you to basically not give a damn about your energy and spam abilities left and right without having the need of a Trinity or a Harrow. So, I always use Zenrik. It's really good. I suggest you use it as well. But we've got 11 minutes now to say all of these notes that I've got for you guys here, and we better hurry up because there's a lot of them. But before we do so, I want to point this out. The clip that you'll see first is my last attempt at soloing Lephantis. I unfortunately died off of a bullshit gas cloud. It literally just one-shotted me with like, I don't know how much damage, but it literally just one-shotted my Nova, and it was bullshit. But yeah, unfortunately that happened, and I got pissed off, so went with a pre-made squad. We were 2 Rhinos, a Nova, Slova, actually, and an Accelerant Ember with power strength, because of the way that I'll recommend you use some things here. And don't worry about builds. I will showcase to you later on my personal builds for both a Slova and a Power Strength Ember. My Rhino Prime build is at the beginning of the video. And with that being said, let's start off with Stage 1 of the boss fight. In Stage 1 of the boss fight, Lephantis is separated into 3 different heads, each one with their own specific targeting parameters. So, I'd suggest you always keep these heads within your field of view, because if one of them's not in your field of view, it's probably going to shoot you in the face, and you're going to regret not having it in your FOV, because you would have known that was coming. But anyway, all of Lephantis' attacks can pretty much one-shot you, unless you've got a lot of shields, health, and armor. Like, you need the best of all worlds to basically tank Lephantis, or you just need to be Wukong or a Harrow that perfectly times his 4 to dodge one of those attacks without dying. So I'll recommend to you guys that you dodge the attacks, and I'll also recommend you dodge them left and right, and not front and back. Personal experience says that front and back will get you killed, probably because of the way that the projectiles work, and left and right won't. Now, in the case of the Grineer, it doesn't really matter. If it's better for you to roll backwards to avoid a strike from the Grineer, do that. So what? You'll dodge the strike, so good for you. But let's move on to some weapons, because we really need to get those out of the way. Now, in the case of primary weapons, I'll suggest you use a Nightwatch Napalm Ogress or a Soma Prime. Unfortunately, Lephantis is immune to status effects, so the best that you can do is raw damage or crit, and obviously crit's gonna be better. So go for crit if you've got really good crit weapons like Soma Prime or any other weapon like that. But make sure that they're weapons that can actually do good damage per second. Good damage per shot weapons aren't that well recommended, because by the time that you do your next shot, maybe Lephantis will close up his weak point, so you can't shoot him anymore and actually do damage. For secondary weapons, I say go for a Vacor Merlock, a Euphona Prime, a Pandero, or a Rocta Ballistica. Basically anything that has good burst damage, where you can do follow-up shots quick, and each shot does a pretty significant amount of damage within itself. Hand cannons, more or less, are highly recommended. Melee weapons, it's just Zenistar. Unfortunately, Zenistar is my personal recommendation for more or less every boss fight that you're not gonna be focusing on melee weapons, simply because it's that much easier for you to do the boss fight that way. However, because Gunblade and Glaives also exist, those can be pretty useful as well, because you can just drop them out and try and do damage. I will recommend Gunblades over Glaives, because more damage and a lot easier to do so. But that's for weapons. Let's go on with some targeting parameters for Lephantis. Lephantis' 3 heads at stage 1 have a certain targeting parameter. If Ancient Infested is around, it will directly target you, and it will make the Infested Corpus not directly target you, and instead drop gas clouds around the arena and infested spawn pods. Now, in the case that it drops a spawn pod, I suggest you go after that spawn pod first and destroy it, because it can spawn supportive infested units and Eximus units, which will make your life a lot harder during this boss fight. The Grenier, as it seems, will always spawn last of the 3, and the Grenier will always spawn underneath your feet in attempts to knock you down and allow the others to do damage to you easier. The builds that you're gonna see now are actually my personal builds for a Slova and a Strength Ember, because I just could never manage to solo Lephantis, and as I might have mentioned previously, I switched to a predefined squad later on of 2 Rhinos, a Slova, and a Accelerant Ember, because Lephantis just sucks that much ass that I just couldn't take it anymore. And you'll see just how much faster the boss fight is when you go in a squad, which is what I would suggest you do, honestly. But anyway, let's move on. The Ancient Infested has a fixed fire pattern and fire angle. The Infested will always fire off 8, I believe. I actually never got to count them, but it will fire multiple projectiles at you at a fixed horizontal angle, which means the farther away you are, the more spread out the projectiles will be. And said projectiles are kind of like timed explosives. They do physical damage when they touch you before they explode, but they do have a timed effect where if they linger on long enough, they will explode and will do damage to you. They do blast damage, if I am correct, because they can knock you down with blast procs, and so can the Infested Corpus as well. So I think that it also has blast damage on the first explosion, but it does have toxin damage on the lingering gas clouds. The Grenier is honestly very easy to fight because he has a limited range, and if you use a Linger AoE weapon, he will be very easy to attack, because Linger AoE weapons will actually damage him at all times, even when he's going down below the surface again, just like you saw right there. What else do I have for you guys? Yes. Oh yes. Let's just mention this real quick. Infested outside of the arena can still fucking attack you, which is bullshit. Because DE added a ranged attack to light infested units, those can actually attack you from outside the arena. So I'd suggest you kill them before you enter the arena, because trust me, the last thing you want is you dying off of a random infested that just friggin' threaded the needle from those tentacles that go on the doorways and shot you with a projectile that just one-shot you. But anyway, that's all we have for Stage 1, which is the hardest of the two if you personally ask me. Let's go on to Stage 2, and then we'll give some general tips. Now, the same targeting parameters apply in Stage 2 as well, so the Ancient Infested will be the one that's going to be attacking you first, but the Infested Corpus may try and drop some shots here and there, but it will mostly attempt to actually kind of mess up with the arena by dropping spawn pods or gas clouds on you. But the walk-in animation is set up on the infested Grenier, so he's gonna be the one that's controlling the body, and that's the one that's going to be making the body chase after you. And he's always gonna be the one that's gonna be looking at you as soon as you drop in. So it'd be for the best if you actually keep Lephantis alive, or rather the Grenier part of him alive, so you can kite him around easier. I will also suggest that during Stage 2 you stay airborne to make Lephantis miss a lot. And if you need to pop shots quick, just drop on the elevated platforms, pop a shot, and then just start gliding all over the place again. Now let's move on to some general tips. A CC Rhino is my personal recommendation, although that's kind of ironic considering that I never got really far on a CC Rhino. The farthest I got was with a Slova and then with a Strength Ember. But CC Rhino, in my eyes, is probably the best because he has the largest slow effect of all of these of the frames that I recommended. And he also has the capability to buff up your damage and also negate some of the damage Lephantis does with his Iron Skin. And due to his Rhino Charge or Iron Charge or whatever the hell it's called, you have more survivability because you're immune to damage while you're doing that, and you can just basically like plop all over the place, just friggin' run circles everywhere. Technically Nova is also very good because she has the capability to do more damage with Molecular Prime, and her wormhole will allow her to do quick escapes in the case that she needs them, and her MP also adds a slow effect. It's not as strong as Rhino's, but it's a lot longer than Rhino's, which kind of offsets that. In the case of Ember, however, Ember can do damage the same way a Nightwatch Napalm Ogress can with her, what the hell is that ability called again? The one where she does the fire ring and it leaves that little ring around. That ring, if you target it correctly and stays on Lephantis, it can do the same sort of damage that a Nightwatch Napalm Ogress can. And because she has Accelerant, if you use heat weapons, you'll instantly do more damage to Lephantis. And I'm not certain if heat weapons actually do more damage to Lephantis. I'll have to check that and tell you. But either way, I don't think that he's resistant to it, which means that you should still probably use it. I don't know how you'll feel about me saying this part, but I feel like Lephantis is like a friggin' Dark Souls boss. You just need to dodge all over the place if you want to survive. I don't know if he's the same difficulty per se, but he sure as hell felt like one for me. And it's honestly to your best interest that you don't solo Lephantis and you go on a public session instead, because he's just a pain in the buttocks and he takes way too long to solo. So that's all I have for you guys, honestly. The video went a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I did my best. I'm sorry. I tried. And I'm not gonna go back and re-record this because I've been trying for the past week to record this video. It's insane. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. If you didn't, please do give it a dislike. And if you enjoyed it that much that you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. It's the best way for you to keep up with the videos that I'll be uploading. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be in like 5 minutes for me because I've got so many videos to upload. Anyway, I'll be off.